Karyn Bryant for MMA H.E.A.T here with UFC President Dana White, having a few laughs after the show. You know, actually the other day when I was doing the weigh-in show on Fuel, I got this thing in my ear. All of a sudden, Dana White wants to do an interview. Dana wants to do an interview. So we're all scrambling. It was nice to have you on the show. It seemed like you were specifically there to try to, not to necessarily defend Melvin Guillard after he missed weight, but you definitely really felt like you had something to say about him. So could you let us know why it was that you felt like you wanted to come on and talk about that?
No, it wasn't that I wanted to go on and talk about that. I mean, defending him, the kid stepped up for this fight. You know, we have all these issues with guys going, this guy's my friend, I won't fight him, I won't do this. He comes off this fight, jumps right into a fight with one of his, not only one of his, you know, former training partners, but a good friend. And, you know, two true professionals stepped in there tonight and went at it. Guillard went for the knockout, and then Cerrone went right back for it. It was a great fight. They both deserve fight of the night, and yeah, no, I'm not upset with Melvin at all. I'm actually, you know, I hate saying I'm proud of guys. It sounds so condescending, but you know, that's how I feel that he stepped up and took this fight.
Now, I know you have talked in the past about, you know, teammates fighting each other and some people won't. Was there something particular about those two, though, that you knew they actually would really get in there and go to war? Because there was a nervousness of some people had of that they might be too pleasant in there, you know? I
didn't think that. Yeah. There's nothing pleasant about Donald Cerrone, okay? Donald Cerrone is not a pleasant guy. He's not a guy that goes out there and says, hey, let's dance around and move. When Donald Cerrone goes into fight, he goes into fight no matter who he's fighting. And
so you did say after the fight that he'll get Anthony Pettis, that's for sure?
Yes.
And do we know how soon that would happen? I know Donald likes to stay very active.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just decided that tonight, and I don't know when.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it is decided that Nate Diaz gets the next shot at Benson Henderson. How soon could that fight happen?
It'll happen before the end of the year.
Yep. And why is it? I mean, obviously Nate's been doing very well, and he absolutely destroyed Donald Cerrone in that fight. He's been doing very, very well. But what was it particularly about Nate that made him the #1 contender?
Well, he was in the position that night that he fought, that was going to be the fight that would, you know, and he won it, impressively.
Mm-hmm. Any news on his brother? I mean, obviously we know his suspension isn't up until February, but how's that going with Nick? Are you guys still in talks, and what might be on the horizon for him?
Yeah, we're not even talking about Nick yet until his suspension gets closer to being over, and when it is, we'll figure it out. Well,
I know Nate and Nick, I think, are going to be in Vegas working with your boy Roy Nelson on The Ultimate Fighter next week. How's that show going for you?
It's going good. You know, there's nothing better than quality time with Roy Nelson. And, you know, it's actually interesting. You know, Diaz is one of the coaches. Diaz can't be anywhere near the gym the day of the fight because of his suspension. So he can go in there and train. Nate can be there, Nick cannot.
Okay, so Nick is actually a coach on the whole season.
I think so. I mean, I don't know how Roy is working his camp or how that's going. I don't get involved in that. That's actually none of my business, but I don't know. Yeah.
You did say something in your scrum afterwards where Roy kind of talks about, oh, how come I can't get sponsors and this and that, and you sort of say, well, look at the obvious. But I mean, does that bother you having a fighter like that representing your company, and would you prefer him to, you know, drop the weight and clean up the mullet?
Yeah, I obviously have been very vocal about my issues with Roy Nelson and what I think he should do. But at the end of the day, I mean, Roy Nelson is going to do what he wants to do. The guy wants a mullet. You know, if you want to walk around looking like that, that's your problem. But don't come, you know, crying to me that you don't have any sponsors, because nobody's going to want to throw their company logo on that. Number one. Number two, Roy Nelson, all the stuff that I say about him, you know, whatever, I respect him as a fighter. The guy has a chin of granite. He's got punching power. He's got great jiu-jitsu, and he will fight anybody, anywhere, anytime, no matter who they are or how tough anybody thinks they are. So as a fighter, I could not have more respect for Roy Nelson. Hanging out with Roy Nelson, not on the top of my to-do list.
I know that you did mention this before, too, that you had sort of a Twitter talk today with Mayhem Miller. It escalated quickly. You know, you're so outspoken on Twitter. You're always telling people whatever really is on your mind. But does there ever come the situation where sometimes you wish you could unsend some of those?
No.
No?
No, never. Okay. If you come on Twitter and you say dumb shit to me, yeah, you better get ready, because dumb shit's coming back. And the thing that I regret about the Mayhem Miller thing is that I don't hate Miller. And when I say that, I don't wish this guy any ill will. I hope that, you know, moving on in this next stage of his career, he's successful and does. I know he's got the movie coming out, Here Comes the Boom. I'm happy for him. You know, I didn't expect that. I was joking. When it first started, I saw it, I said, laugh out loud, yeah.
then he
Please
said,
retire now.
"Go kill yourself."
Then he went straight, and you know me, you want to go there with me, I'm going to go. And then it was all over. I was like, you know what? That was just bad. It was stupid that it even happened. But the thing is that people don't realize is Mayhem Miller's had, he's had some problems outside of the sport. And, I know he battles depression and things like that. And the last thing I want to do is contribute to, him being bummed out. I want him to be well. I want him to succeed in the next chapter of his life. And, it happened, but I'm here saying I wish it didn't happen, but it did.
Any conversations with BJ Penn? How did he take the news about Rory MacDonald?
No, I haven't talked to BJ. I mean, it came out. I told you guys that night that he was cut, so that's how BJ found out too. But I haven't talked to him since. It gives BJ more time now to keep training and get in shape, and it's not a bad thing.
But is he somebody you would put on a televised card instead of a pay-per-view?
Oh, I mean, BJ Penn could go on either. BJ Penn is a legend. The kid, future Hall of Famer, and he could go on TV or pay-per-view.
And I did mention in your scrum that Leonard Garcia told me he'd signed on for Macao. You really don't know who he would be fighting, or you have an idea?
Swear to God, I didn't even know that until you told me.
Yeah. How's that card coming along, though? I know obviously you want to make a good impression. How many Asian fighters do you think you're going to have on that card?
I have no idea. We're still building that card. Obviously, yes, we want to go with our best foot forward and have a great card, exciting fights, this, that, and everything else. So.
Well, the one thing that is tricky, with the community, is that they don't all necessarily get along, and so it's a dicey thing. If you're, Japanese and Chinese, there's tension on certain things. I just know a little bit that it can be tricky in trying to put that together. You feel like you want to appeal to that market, and yet it's kind of tricky.
Here's the reality, though. Our tagline is nothing brings the world together like a great fight. And it's true. And the UFC has proven time and time again, it doesn't matter where you come from, what color you are, what language you speak, people want to see great fights. And as long as we roll into China and go to the Venetian and put on a great fight that night, it's just like the show we did in Japan. People are going to leave pumped.
Nice. And lastly, you said you're going to go to Ronda Rousey's fight next week, and everybody wants to press you. And hey, is there any way that Ronda could ever be in a special event on a UFC card? What's your word on that?
Ronda's a Strikeforce fighter. Ronda fights for Strikeforce. She's one of their biggest superstars, and I mean, you can watch that fight on Showtime. You know what I mean? It's not like, Ronda Rousey's fighting in some crappy event out in the middle of nowhere, and it's not televised or anything else. Showtime loves her. Mm-hmm. They support her. They back her, and I'm a supporter. Seriously, do you know how fucking excited I am that I'm going to fly to San Diego Saturday and be a fan? I'm excited, man. I want to go watch a fight. I don't want to fucking sit there and sweat this shit all night and go through all the bullshit that I got to go through, and then I got to go in the back and these guys, I won the fight. I don't want to talk to anybody on Saturday night, other than fans or something like that. I'm going to go sit in my fucking seat. I'm going to wear a T-shirt and jeans, and I'm going to have fun at the fights on Saturday night, and I can't wait.
Awesome. Well, I will see you there, Dana. Thanks for talking with us tonight.
Thank you.